Alex, can you take roll, please, of the commissioners?
Yes, let's see how this goes. 6001.
Present.
6002. I'm here. That's
That's
me.
you.
6003.
Present.
6004.
Here.
6005.
Present.
6006.
Present.
6007.
Present.
Madam Chair, we have 7 commissioners present.
Yay, hooray. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys the agenda here. Hold on 1 second, can we move this up a little bit? Okay, so we did take away the 7th and T development discussion. What is added in is 1527 8th Street Northwest for a zoning request. And we are going to talk about the ANC grant application. Commissioners, any comments? Everything okay? Take that as yes.
Yes.
Can I have a motion, please?
I second.
Someone has to make the motion.
I move to accept the agenda as written.
Okay, and then Kevin seconds.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna do the police next. We're gonna try for 20 minutes here. So I'm looking for Captain Duro from 1D. Captain Duro, can you press star 9 or raise your hand for us to see? Captain Duro, are you on the call? Ed and Marcus, you see Captain Duro? No. Okay, so why don't we start with 3D? I see Captain Augustine. I'm gonna mute you. Oh wait, is that Captain Duro with your hand raised? 1 second, hold on. Hold on. Captain Duro. Captain Duro.
Yes, good evening. This is Lieutenant Steinhelber for Captain Duro, who's in class this evening. I'm
Okay,
the day work patrol manager for, in First District.
Okay, so we're going to give you about 10 minutes or so, okay? So if you just kind of give us some bullet points, and then we're going to open to the commissioners and then to the community. This is 1D. This is the area south of New York Avenue.
Okay, again, good evening, Commissioners. Lieutenant Wayne Steinhelber. Your first, for your daily crime reporting from your same reporting period last year, your overall crimes are down 5 from 35 to 30. Your reported theft from autos have declined, fortunately, from last year. You were at 17, you're now at 7. We do see the increase in the motor vehicle theft. That's consistent citywide, and what we've seen in major cities across the nation right now has been both the carjacking and what we're termed of the hop-ins. This is where you have the vehicle that is left operational with the key still in the ignition or the fob. And we've seen that with a lot of the drop-off food deliveries, such as Grubhub, or deliveries that are going into residential high-rise buildings, individuals targeting those and getting those in. So we have seen those increasing. Again, you're seeing that citywide and with other cities. You've had 2 fewer robberies than you had last time as well. Your ADWs within the past 30 days, we did have the shooting at 200 K Street Northwest on January 6th. That was related to events that occurred earlier today on the Capitol grounds. That was where an individual sustained a gunshot wound to the ankle after becoming involved in a verbal altercation, political in nature, because of the hats and the clothing that the individuals that they were wearing, that we still have the lookout for them. We did have the attempted robbery at 301 I Street Northwest. That was January 19th. We were fortunate to be able to close that very quickly within hours of that suspect being detained. The most recent was this ADW event that was at 901 New Jersey Avenue on January 27th. This was due to police contact of enhanced patrols that were in the area because of kind of pattern of violence within that neighborhood. The officers came upon 2 armed suspects who pointed weapons at the officers. They jumped into a civilian vehicle. The officers had a short foot pursuit before the vehicle crashed into two civilian vehicles in the area of New York Avenue and Florida Avenue. We were able to secure the vehicle. Inside were two handguns and evidence of that they had been firing from the vehicle. There was a short foot pursuit. We were able to capture the one suspect, and he's been charged with multiple felonies. And then we continue in the investigation, and they hopefully will be identifying the second suspect that got away and taking an arrest in that case as well. But good recovery of those, and that was all consistent with the higher level of patrols that we're putting within the unit block of K Street. The department continues on partial mobilization for the next 2 weeks. That's going to be in reference to this will be our CDU units. You'll still see them in the neighborhood, but then they're ready for deployment if we have any kind of First Amendment activity that requires police coverage. This would be in relation to the impeachment hearing that we have coming up, and then some notable some police-related trials that are taking place in the nation. The first district will be participating, the bike platoon will be participating in the Officer Sicknick's funeral tomorrow, which will be impacting travel along Constitution Avenue from the Capitol as they go en route to Arlington National Cemetery for burial. We're continuing to encourage, again, the commissioners and then your residents, your stakeholders to continue to either monitor through Twitter, through the HCMA app, so that if we have closures of traffic and events that are taking place in the city, that is the most timely way to be receiving that information. And that concludes my briefing. What are your questions?
Hi, Commissioner Blackson here. I wanted to know why patrol is not at the corner of First and M Street Northwest. Usually a First Place and M Street, there's usually an officer, a car stationed there, and one also in front of Tyler House. We've recently had shootings actually on the street, and I'm wondering why the police presence is no longer there.
They're continuously there every day. I was just by there today as part of regular patrols. They continue. We do move them. We don't want them stationary. As you know from the activity that we had earlier this summer, where the officer was consistently parked in that location, 2 bullets went through the back window from that was being shooting further north on North Capitol. So I can assure that still started the deployment. We're still continuing those officers there. We just have them moving a little more often, so then nobody's not able to be getting a bead on them, so they're not in the direct fire. And it was actually those officers that came on the 2 armed suspects when they had gone and did a tandem patrol to go around the block that were able to come up on those 2 individuals that we believe were targeting another individual. The officers just happened to be at the right place at the right time and were able to interrupt that shooting, engage those suspects successfully, and be able to recover both the weapons, their vehicle, and to make the one arrest. But I assure you, Commissioner, that we're still on First and M. We're also in front of Tyler House.
Tyler House is where the officers encountered the bullets in the back of their car, not at First Place and M.
Correct, that's what I said. Yeah.
M Street. Yes, because a car is usually always stationed there because we have a lot of activity along our street. And I can tell you, they may be moving around, but more so than not, they're not there. I can stand and look in my doorway and see if the officers are there, and they haven't been there a lot. Thank you.
Any commissioners have questions for the lieutenant? This is 1D.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
Kevin?
Yeah, let me, I'm on now.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go. Yep.
Commissioner Kevin Rogers. I have a question about the Terry Keeker neighborhood, right? We've been getting an awful lot of shooting in the neighborhood, and it's ongoing. Now, this is not something that just started. This right here been going on for years, if I know. I've been a community activist for over 25 years and on K Street alone. And we have marched on the street. We have petitioned the street, you know, for the police to stop the shooting. And it seemed like it's nothing happened. Now, it died down for a while, and then all of a sudden it came back. Now, we've been getting shootings just about every week, you know, in this community, and bullets are ricocheting off the walls of the Savannah, you know, and that's very dangerous, right? People running for their lives in between the lots. And we had one lady ran up on the sidewalk after the shooting. What y'all gonna do about this? Because one time we had a camera in that area and somebody tore it down. I like to see some lights and the cameras go up, you know, to kind of give the assurance that the people will be safe, you know. I'd like to know what y'all doing with that. And I also like to know what happened to Dimitri Harvin's case. Young man was shot at the 1100 block of 1st Street Northwest on a Monday, October the 5th at 2:33 a.m. His name is Dimitri Harvin. Have y'all did anything with that case, or has it been resolved?
Okay, well, to answer the first part of your question, it was the deployment plan that we changed to address the issues on K Street that enabled, again, for those officers to be in the right place at the right time, and they stopped the shooting. Not only did they do that, they were able to pursue them, take 2 guns off the street, identify, because we're looking at this individual that we do have in custody. We'll be finding out who his partner is. He is going to talk and tell us, and we're going to find out. And those, what we've been matching, that these are possible suspects that have been involved in other shootings. So I completely agree with you. I live up the street from that location. So believe me, I'm interested in seeing that you're exactly right, that we saw that dropping off. We did see the increase, but it's also with this, we can have all kinds of officers on the corner. It's when you have really irrational players here. They know the police are there, they know we've stepped up the patrol, and they're willing to take their chances at apprehension. They're willing to take their chances with the judicial system. And it's a very, very tough nut for us to be working for. But it was our increased patrols in there that were able to get those 2 individuals and hopefully be able to link of whatever that is, whatever the undercurrent that is, whether this is an issue over drug markets, if this is over some kind of concern for prosecution, to find out there. There's absolutely, but there's a lot of resources we bring, our intel people, the feds that are involved, and looking that through. As far as the cameras we've been able to have with the Capitol Shield, we do have some of the residential businesses that have been very helpful in providing that information. As for your case regarding October 5th, I would have to check with Lieutenant Rooney to be seeing what the progress is on that particular case.
Yes, because nobody ain't said nothing about that case, right? And I'm pretty sure the family wants some results. So I'll be listening in and watching out, you know, and let me know something.
Absolutely.
Patrick?
Thank you.
Hey, this is Commissioner Patrick Parlay. I represent 6E05, which sort of encompasses most of Mount Vernon Triangle. As far as the insurrection-related incidents and the inauguration, as far as 1D was concerned, were there any crimes explicitly tied to those events that went on within 1D?
Well, I was part of the response team. We took a bike team that was there at the Capitol. So we had taken for that day, and then we continued to be deployed. So you had some, as you saw, there were some ADWs, and that was, again, with assault with a deadly weapon. You had a particular stabbing that was down by Harry's, down towards Pennsylvania Avenue, that were outside of the areas. I just mentioned the shooting from 200K, not specifically related, but then again, it was something where one group of individuals was identifying another group of individuals because of hats and political slogans that were on their T-shirts. Again, this escalated into a verbal altercation with one of the individuals producing a handgun and shooting. So we were fortunate in the fact of what we had, and were able to get the Capitol secure prior to 8 o'clock, and they were able to continue their business that day. We did see associated mostly physical assaults, verbal altercations, but that's why we have the mobile team, particularly a bike team that's able to respond very quickly to these, get these parties separated, and prevent any escalation of violence.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners? No. Open up to the community. If you're on the phone, press *9 or use the raise your hand feature if you're doing video. Any questions? This is for the lieutenant for 1D. This is the area south of New York Avenue for our commission. Any questions? Oh, hi, Erica. Hold on. 1 second. Let me unmute you. I see you. Go ahead, Erica. Hi.
Hi, everyone. I am the property manager of the communities of the Severna located at 1001 First Street and the Severna on K at 43 K Street. And the issue and the concerns of the residents is in regards to the shootings. The shootings are going back and forth. I understand that the last one, which was on January, I believe 27th, and it was like 11 a.m. in the morning. It was, to other matters, but our buildings have been damaged from the gunshots. Like, we've actually looked onto the camera footage with the Metropolitan Police, and it's been like a really like gun war. These young men are just shooting. They're not aiming for their target. It's just like they're just shooting. And on the incident, I believe that happened on December 18th, it was a father and a daughter in their apartment. And they're luckily we have double window panes where the bullet went through the first window pane. So we're losing residents. We're losing residents from this. Residents our parking is already stringent, along the public streets. But with the turnkey community, with the police knowing that it's turnkey versus Tyler House, like, is there a gang task force? Like, what are you all doing, in regards to it? Because even with the shooting that happened on January 27th, we had 2 detectives in our office looking at footage from previous, criminal activity. And you also had police over on First Terrace, like, they're bold, they don't care. And it's like, the residents, they are afraid. They are afraid. And we are too, because, we were just outside on the December 18th incident. And it just, everybody just got down on the ground. Like, are you going to do more perimeter checkpoints? We've offered our club room for the police. They used to come there and everything. And I was just looking through the area, like, you can't have someone that's actually sits on that circle concrete to watch what's going on there, because it's evident they're retaliating and going back and forth with each other. And this is happening in the morning, in the afternoon. On January 25th, it happened at 4:20. So my residents, they are afraid, and I'm afraid too. I mean, I'm afraid for myself when I'm at work, and then I worry about my residents when I come home. So I'm like, what kind of plans are you all going to put in place?
Okay, I couldn't agree with you more, and that's exactly why we upstaff the marked patrols and the unmarked, while we're working with identifying those detectives that are coming in. Take that information, they're taking still shots from those, and they're working on identifying these suspects. That's why again be looking at what was able to be done on the 27th. We caught him. This has been a pattern of 2 shooters that's been identified in these other events. We now have 1 of the individuals in custody. We also have 2 of the weapons that recovered. There's forensics that we're able to do now from all those other events that we're able to take through our crime labs to be looking to see where's the source weapon for this and who are these individuals. In the debriefs, to be able to find out what this is being driven on. So there's and it's outside of that. I know you think you said something about it was going to be Tyler House and Turnkey. There's some other if you want to cruise or other neighborhoods that are involved in those. So that's where you're seeing it's a multifaceted, but we have to be going and looking at. But you're seeing the benefit of that increased patrol, having these officers not individual, but 10-4, which is police jargon. That's going to be for 2 officers, and we were able to put them at the right time. So believe me, I understand it all. People be very scared on this, and that's what we're directing them. But what we were able to do is to get these individuals, get their guns, And we're going to find out who that other one is. And when those detectives are there taking that information, it's critical for us because we're able to get those screenshots. It helps in our BOLOs, which is be on the lookout and be able to come out and to see if they're linked to other crimes than that. So be patient with us. We do realize that. I understand the frustration that you have as the property manager, and if the residents want to feel secure in their homes and be able to live their life bravely. But I believe we're out there, it's a partnership, and it's going to take time. But we're seeing results in the fact that we've got those two individuals, or able to interrupt those individuals on the 27th. And hopefully we don't have to continue to do that.
Okay.
Thank you, Erica. Thanks, Lieutenant. Any other comments from the community? Press *9 if you're on the phone, or use the raise your hand feature. This is for the area that is south of New York Avenue.
Well, I want to say something, Commissioner
Okay,
Black.
Nathan. Yep.
I just see, all of us are connected with the same area. I'm at the top of the street in between Tyler House and the Savernas. It just looks like to me, we need more police present. We did a safety walk just last month to try to include all the different areas and show the hot spots where we were having to identify where we were having trouble or people hanging out. And most of the people that hang out here in this area don't live here or in neither of the properties. No matter where their beef is with whatever crews or other streets or areas, none of the people live here. That's the problem.
All right. All right. Thank you, Lieutenant, for zooming in.
All right. Good
Okay.
evening, everyone.
Okay, thank you. All right, let me go to Captain Augustine. This is for the 3D area. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Captain Augustine. There you go. This is for the area that is north of New York Avenue.
Hey, good evening. So, Commissioner, I believe by my calculation, I have 3 minutes to get all done.
This might be a fail already, so it's okay. Go ahead and
No worries. I'll make it brief. I'll hit on the significant points, and then we'll save some time for questions.
Okay,
But
got time, don't worry.
one of the couple significant events that happened in the past 30 days north of New York Avenues, we did have the homicide in 1300 block of 7th Street Northwest at the gas station. We did recover a gun on that scene. We also have working some really good leads. I can't go into too much specifics with it, but we do hope to get a closure in this case very soon. So that was some really good news that we got out of this horrible tragedy. We did have a robbery knife on January 8th. That started out as a stolen auto. One of these another hop-in stolen auto cases. The person went after their car, and then they turned in and pulled out a knife and then robbed the person. So they stole his car and then robbed his goods. And then we also had in the 1700 block of 9th Street on January 17th, another robbery, which turned into a stealing the person's car. We were able to recover that car. And just kind of real quick, since we're on that topic of when we recover these type of cars, we do bring our, I guess, forensic officers. We call them our crime scene officers, and they will process that. And then we'll sit there and submit any evidence we do get to the lab. And that does take a while. So sometimes you'll see these cases pop up, a few months, 6 months, a year later, and we hopefully get a closure, or we get that big impact where we can actually close a lot of cases at once. In the last 30 days, we did have 3 stolen autos on top of that didn't involve the robberies. I will say the one really significant case that we had was on January 18th, 600 block of P Street Northwest. Vehicle was stolen. With some good follow-up police work by the 3rd District officers, they were able to recover that a short time later over at the Tyler House, and we were able to make 1 arrest, and we did recover a handgun there. So that was really good news. As far as gun recoveries over the last 30 days, on January 5th in the 1200 block of 6th Street, the 3rd District had an arrest with a firearm recovery. 1300 block of 9th Street, which was the homicide, we had that. And then the one I just spoke of on the 18th with the stolen auto, we were able to recover a gun. Just like 1D is, and also like the rest of the city, the stolen autos are a huge issue going on right now. A lot of them are probably over 60 to 70% of them are just hop-in cases. We ask, if you know delivery drivers, if you have family that's doing deliveries, or you yourself are doing deliveries, please take the extra 2 seconds, turn off that car, take the key with you. Sometimes we're also in a sense of security, false sense of security with our technology. We believe that, when we carry that key fob with us, that the car is secure. It is not. We've seen even cars that have been left running and you have the key fob, that those cars will keep going until they're turned off. So please, please, please take 2 seconds and turn off that vehicle. Be greatly appreciated. And hopefully that can also cut down a lot of our other violent crime. I know we just spent a good amount of time talking about the shootings. Shootings are very, very scary. They can sit there and really have a great, terrible impact on our neighborhoods. And what we're seeing is with a lot of these stolen autos, these folks are going around committing robberies, committing armed robberies, committing shootings. It was on December 10th, I had a juvenile shot in the 200 block of our 2nd and W Street Northwest. And we believe that was a hop-in stolen auto. The car that was involved was a hop-in stolen auto and was stolen 6 hours just before that. So any little thing we can do to help, I know that we want a lot of action from the police, and we're going to be out there and we're going to be following up all the information we can, but we do have a gun tip line. If I need to, I can send that all to the commissioners, out to the community. $2,500 if you give us information that leads to an arrest and a seizure of a firearm. $10,000 leading to an arrest and a conviction for a shooting. So those are really good programs out there. I've heard cameras. Cameras are also great to have. The DC government has a great rebate program. For cameras. You can go out, get your cameras, get them installed, and there is a rebate program to get that out. Those have been so useful in closing homicides. Assault with a deadly weapon would just be a shooting that didn't turn into a homicide. Robbery cases that have been very significant. So if you don't have them, let me know. And again, Commissioner Nigro, if you want me to send you all these links later today, I can do that, and you can kind of pass them along to whoever doesn't have them. Those have been very good, useful tools that the community can help us with on that.
That would be great. All right.
Any questions?
Any questions from the commissioners for Captain Augustine?
I have a question.
Right.
Captain, I've been walking through the neighborhood and I've been noticing more people sleeping in their cars. And I want to know, what is the city's position, response? There was a suburban truck in 6E03, but it abuts 6E04. It's been there for at least 4 months. Today I saw a gold Ford on the 1100 block of 6th Street facing southbound. No license plate on the car, but the car was running and I could see the towels around the windows and I could see the gentleman's feet. So I figured he might be, possibly homeless. All he has left is a car. But I'm seeing, this is the second car I've seen parked on 6th Street in the past couple of months. And I'm just wondering, does the city have a response on how we should deal with people sleeping in their cars in the city?
So actually, if you ever see that and it looks suspicious, I always tell people, call 911, we can come check it out. If you don't think it's nefarious or if there's criminal activity involved, you can always shoot me an email, David.Augustine. I don't see the chat function, or I'd put it in there. But david.augustine@dc.gov, and we can always sit there and check it out. But we can also, what we have seen, and obviously we've seen it across the city. I know Commissioner Nigro has been dealing with New Jersey in O Street for a while, is the significant amount of homelessness that's coming out into the street that we've not normally seen in the past. Yeah. I have sitting there seen over the last few months that does involve some people living out of their cars. What we try to do is, if there's nothing nefarious about it, we're trying to connect them with resources in the community, sit there and see if we can get them some help. Obviously, not having a tag on your vehicle on a public street is an issue, but that's also sometimes we have to use the proper discretion because we don't want to make an even greater hardship on somebody.
Right.
If you give my email address, or if you connect with anybody, send me an email, I can definitely check those out and we can kind of connect and see what the best way to go forward with that. But yes, I that's a good observation.
I'll send you an email.
Cool.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question about the stolen autos. It does continue to be a problem, and I am very concerned about the crime that happens after they're stolen. I've asked some of your colleagues at past commission meetings if you could update us on the preventive measures that you're taking, whether it's issuing warnings or citations to cars that are idling with the keys in them, while, what are you actively doing to reduce the cars that are being left vulnerable for thieving? And also, is there any strategic program that you're doing to try to like nab the people who are stealing the cars either. Like, you know, I'm surprised that there wasn't more of a kerfuffle, considering that we had a city or a district councilwoman have her own car stolen while running into a bakery up in Ward 3. I just wanted to hear if you could, maybe not now, but in general, like including with those stats, we issued 15 warnings, we issued 150 flyers, you know, like letting us know that you're doing something to try to prevent the problem other than just reporting on it, I think would be really helpful to me.
So, and that's a great question. So a few things. So yes, obviously a very significant problem. What has MPD done? I will sit there and say over the last 3, 4, 5 months, not only about talking about it in all our community meetings, but with even Captain Mac's help, really getting our PIOs, getting the message out to our partner agencies, to Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, the amount of education that's gone into the public and to all these businesses out there, I would sit there and say can be mind numbing with the problem that we're still having. As far as tickets, you saw me looking around because I wanted to grab you my prop. All right, our traffic cars have targeted this. The amount of tickets, there's $50, all right, leaving the car running unattended or motor running while unattended. The code is P077, $50 fine. The amount of tickets that we have issued just alone in the 3rd district is mind numbing. The amount of arrests that have been made, a lot of these are juvenile arrests, so you're not going to see them if you get the updates for the arrest that the 3rd district makes or whatever district makes. The juvenile arrests do not populate on that. All right, a lot of their information is protected by law. So when we talk about the juveniles, you're going to get a very generalized answer with that stuff. But I can sit there and tell you, even over this weekend, I would sit there and say maybe 8 to 10 juveniles have been locked up. I reported out in our Bloomingdale community, which is just north of y'all. We had a young man that was 13 years old, locked up for at least 7 crimes that we know of, ranging from theft, stolen autos, from stealing people's cars, threatening, robbery. You know, and that's the biggest thing. So they're all happening. One thing that we jumped on with Council McDuffie's office yesterday in a meeting was Kelly was going to try to get somebody from the OAG's office to sit there and see if they can come to some of the community meetings and explain what the kind of programs they're putting these children in, to sit there and help them through these issues, you know, and the different levels. Is I can tell you one arrest that we had this weekend, right over on the Rhode Island Ave on the 5D side. I believe it was 5 kids, juveniles that were locked up. One is being prosecuted because that was the driver. The other 4 were diverted. And then having the OAG come out and maybe explain what those diversion programs are, what the follow-up is. And what I also hope is MPD, what it'll do with the community is if the information you see, when you see these kids out there not doing what they're supposed to be doing, let somebody know so that intervention can come in. And I know a lot of people, the last thing we want to do is throw our juveniles in jail, but we all, I think, are on the same page. They need to be held accountable the same way. And we also have to realize this isn't going into 7-Eleven and stealing a candy bar. We have 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds driving around 4,000-pound machines across the city that could sit there and go out of control and kill somebody, not to mention all these crimes that are being committed. If you saw last week, and I know Commissioner pressed for time, so I'll stop after this, but there was even a news story about Montgomery County and their carjackings, all right? We know that we had a couple carjackings that involved juveniles from Montgomery County that came in and then committed several crimes in the district, to include the 3rd district. They were arrested. They were juveniles, you know, so it's my whole thing is I know we want to sit there and take care of juveniles, but we also need to sit there and ensure that they're on the right path to get out of this problem. Does that make sense? Does that help, Michael?
It does, but in general, you know, when you present these statistics, I would love to hear how many citations you issued for cars idling with no unattended, and warnings if you're putting leaflets on cars. Just provide us with those numbers as well to give us constant proof and awareness of what you're doing to prevent as well as to clean up after these problems occur.
If I can get them, I will. I'm not sure if I'm not going to guarantee I'll be able to get the specific number of tickets. It may be one of those things you're just going to have to sit there and take my word for it, but I will sit there and see what I can do.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners before I open up to the community? Okay. This is for Captain Augustine. If you have a question for him, this is the area that is north of New York Avenue. Press *9 if you're on the phone, or use the raise your hand feature if you're on video. Any questions for Captain Augustine? No? All right, Captain.
All right, well, it was nice seeing everybody. Nice talking to everybody. I hope everybody has a safe start of the February, and look forward to talking to you all next week or next.
I'll be emailing you.
So anytime. Take care.
All right, thank you for your help always. Okay, next we have reports from Councilmember Allen's office and our MOKR. So is Naomi, if you want to raise your hand, press *9 or use the raise your hand. Has Naomi Mitchell on the call? Naomi, I just talked to you shortly before this call. Okay. Talib, are you on the call from the mayor's office? Press *9 or raise your hand. Anyone here? Oh, yeah, there you are. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Let me unmute you. Oh, there's Naomi. Let me unmute Talib. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I see you now. I'm going to go ahead, Talib.
Okay. Good evening, good evening, everyone. We don't have any particular announcements at this time, other than, we are definitely trying to work out the logistics in terms of the vaccine. I know that just this past week, I went down to City Terrace and watched the vaccination process with the seniors building. It was well coordinated. Everybody was well served. We do have our budget engagement forums coming up soon. So we do have meetings that will be taking place this month in February, where people can tune in and figure out, really get a better understanding of what the budget process looks like for the year coming up. I want to make a quick comment on some of the issues that I heard mentioned in terms of infrastructure damage with the recent shootings. I know the question was directed to the MPD, but if anyone, and I don't see the chat features in there, but I would just give you my name and you can reach out to me. My DC government email address, which is Talib, Talib as in boy, .shakir @dc.gov. If you could reach out to me and send me an update or status on some of the infrastructure damage that has happened or occurred as a result of some of these shootings, some of these buildings, so I can do a follow-up with that, I would greatly appreciate that.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners for Talib? Mayor's office?
Yes, yeah.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, look, the COVID, for the COVID shots, the registration is a joke. I'm 66 years old and I've registered at least about 3 times already. And each time I register, it told me if nothing happened, no, you get no results, call back again. So I done did that about 7 times already. When is they gonna get it together for Ward 6 and start creating some vaccine shots for the people in the community that's 65 and over? That's my question. And about the registration, it's just a joke, right? Can y'all come up with some other kind of plan to get us vaccinated?
Okay, well, I appreciate your question. Thanks for asking the question. As we know that as it concerns to COVID-19 and the mortality rate, we know that the highest mortality rate is in Ward 7 and Ward 8. And the mayor has already put out what we call priority zip code, which is a concern because we have, seniors in Ward 6 and other wards throughout the district who deserve the same attention and the same need. When we talk about disparity and who has access, and we look at our numbers and our demographic, we see that the less registered people throughout the district in totality are those senior residents in Ward 7 and Ward 8. So as a result of that, the mayor has made a priority on certain days to give them the priority to register for vaccines on those days. In addition to that, the mayor has also put into place a system that makes it easier for people, like removing the capture code and things like that, to make it easy to register for for residents throughout the district in general. And I understand your frustration, and it's well taken, it's well noted. But I do think that when we talk about disparity, we talk about access, um, we see that there are some people within our communities throughout the district that don't have the same access that other residents within inside the district have. So I think a lot of the frustration that may be coming from other wards and other throughout the district is a result of that. And that's something that we continuously daily, on a daily basis. We have briefings, we have discussions about how can we improve the system? How can we make it more equitable for people throughout the district, but also giving precedence to those seniors in particular who may be located in Ward 7 and Ward 8 in particular. I will say that we have troops on the ground, people on the ground, door to door, trying to get people access to, the vaccine in those different wards. As it concerns Ward 6, unfortunately, some of our seniors have not been identified or noted. And as a result of that, many of us inside the MOCA team, inside the mayor's office, have personally reached out to our seniors in Ward 6 to walk them through the steps in the process personally to ensure that they have the same access to everyone else. So if this is a thing that has caused frustration for you, you can definitely reach out. We can definitely talk about ways to minimize that frustration. But we do also want to know, we also want to put on the record that we do have to make sure that our vaccines are distributed throughout the district in a manner that's equitable and adequate for all our district residents.
Okay, totally. Any other questions from the commissioners?
One more question.
Okay, go ahead.
For senior citizens that's in independent living homes that's under nursing care, and they don't have a way of using the internet, and only by the way of registration by telephone, how do y'all reach those people, right? Because they under nursing care, but they can't do nothing else.
Right. That's a good question. So as of right now, as we speak, we have brokers on the team going door to door. We've identified seniors who are in the situation that you're speaking of, and we have brokers on the team going door to door, knocking on seniors' doors, and getting access to information from them, even through inclement weather, right? Because it's a priority. So we've identified certain residents, certain seniors, and we have boots on the ground who are going door to door, right? Accessing information and saying, hey, we want to make sure that this is equitable for you, even though you're immobile. So we have troops on the ground that are actually dealing with what you're speaking about tonight.
Okay.
I would like to add a couple other things. First off, the majority of 6E is either in zip codes 20001 or 20002, and both of those are on the current list of high priority zip codes. So I think the equity statement that Talbot shared is definitely appropriate and important, but we have moved away from a ward based now to a zip code based.
Right.
And the 6E is solidly in the priority list. So so Commissioner Rogers and company, like you should be capable of signing up for the vaccine. I believe the next appointment time is Thursday morning at 9, and it is a little bit like the Hunger Games right now, where you sort of have to log on and hope that you get in at the right moment. And from the statement that we heard at another meeting last night, they are looking at the possibility of a single sign up, and you just get your turn when you get it. Talbot, do you have any comments on when we might see something like that, where it's simply registration and then you get your place in line and then they contact you when it's your turn?
Right. So this has been for at least almost a week. This has been the discussion amongst current leadership, setting up a system, a waiting system, for the lack of better words, where seniors can register in that, and they register one time, their name is put inside of a queue, and they're notified when the next available appointment time comes up. So we are definitely currently working on that. Those are some of the current discussions that we had, even as late as of today. So it's just a matter of trying to work that system out and figure out the logistics in terms of how to make that happen, while also making sure that, you know, when we look at numbers, we had 98 residents in Ward 7 that has the worst Wi-Fi internet in the city. A population of 80,000 people, 98 people registered in the public, as you mentioned, as the Hunger Games versus a Ward 6 when you had over 1,100 some people. So we're definitely talking about that, trying to work that out, and trying to come up with a system that's more equitable and simplified, in simple terms, like that's more simplified for our senior neighbors. I mean, we have to take into consideration. So that is something that we're currently working on, and I can update the commissioner, Commissioner Nagro, in terms of what we're doing and what steps are being taken to keep her up to date with what is happening on the back end of that.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the commissioners before I open it up to the community? Okay, this is for the mayor's office. If you want to talk to Talib, he is our rep, our mayor's liaison. Well, hold on one second, Naomi. Anyone want to talk to the mayor's office? Press *9 for if you're on the phone, or use the raise your hand feature. Any questions? No. Oh, I see someone. 1 second. Go ahead, you have to unmute yourself. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, this is for the mayor's office. You have a question for the mayor's office?
Oh, that's the mayor's office. Oh, I know. I was gonna pity back on what Kevin was saying about the COVID-19 shots. That's
Okay.
what my concern was. I missed it. I missed that part, right?
No, you can address it with the mayor's if you want to do a quick statement here. He'll listen. Go ahead.
Okay. You can go to. I know you can go to Bread for the City. They have people. You can get shots there, and the COVID-19 shot and the COVID-19 test. You can get both of them done at Bread for the City from 1 o'clock to 9 o'clock, Monday through Friday. Because I went around there, so I got the COVID-19. I didn't get the shot, but I did get that other one.
Yep, and
but you do have to go over on the computer and get all the information to get the shot. But the COVID-19 test, you can just walk in there anytime from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. The other one, you do have to have more paperwork.
Correct. And they do advertise on social media a lot. So thank you for that. I think they do it twice a week. So we can put that out to the community.
Okay.
Thank you.
My
And
name is Patricia Sims.
okay, thank you. All right, you have a question for the mayor, is it and Kit for the mayor's office?
Yes, that's right.
Hi.
Hey, I just wanted to express my support for moving to this reservation system. It seems to be much simpler and more, makes more sense than having to make people log on at a set time every 2 times a week. And I just want to hope that you guys will move to that system and also tell the residents when you move to the system that you advertise it to us so we know that that's happening, because it would just be so much easier if we just signed up once on a website rather than having to check again like twice a day or whatever. So I just wanted to express support for that idea and just keeping us in the loop if that's where you're headed.
I will definitely take that.
Thank you for that feedback. All right, any other questions for the mayor's office before I hand it over to Charles Allen's office to Naomi? No? Okay, Naomi, I'm going to unmute you. Where'd you go? Here you go. Oh, Erica, do you have a question for the mayor's office, Erica? Hold on a second. You have to unmute yourself, Erica. Erica, you have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Can you hear? Okay. So I know that we've just spoke to, the Metropolitan Police in regards to the shootings and all, but from the mayor's standpoint of it. And Talib, you're stating that, you know, for us to get in contact you about the structural damage, but at the same time, is it a way that you can put pressure on the Metropolitan Police to be more hands-on at the community? Like, they're saying that the people are there, they're not there. You know, if a shooter happens, like the next day, you'll see them. I know that they had bike control, but can your office put more pressure on the Metropolitan Police to be present in the community, especially around First Terrace, First Street, you know, along that area and along where Denise lives at as well too?
Tilly, where'd you go? Okay, wait. You have to unmute yourself.
I'm here. Right. So we have partners within the MPD. Unique thing with Ward 6.
Nope, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. No.
Muted.
Okay. You're fading in and out. 1 second. Go ahead.
Muted. Can you hear me now?
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. So as I was saying that we do have community engagement specialists within the MPD 1, 3, and 5 district within inside of Ward 6. And I definitely can reach out to those different engagement specialists and express the same concern. This is not the first time that I've heard that person in this particular area. So therefore, I may need to do more due diligence to speak with MPD and those community specialist engagement to see what options are available in terms of ensuring that there's more security in this area, these areas in general. You know, so I can definitely do that. It's on I wrote it down, so it's definitely on the top priority list. To reach out to those engagement specialists and to try to come up with a strategic plan to provide more security and more presence in those areas. So I will be taking that back to them and having a discussion with them about how we can ensure that.
So Tilly, why don't we also put you in touch with Erica too? Commissioner Rogers can assist with that. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Let me unmute Naomi. This is for Charles Allen's office here. Naomi, unmute yourself. Naomi? Naomi? You're unmuted. Naomi? We can't hear you. Naomi? Naomi, we can't hear you at all. Naomi? Okay, I'm going to give it another. Naomi, we can't hear you at all. Okay, Naomi, I'm sorry. Maybe you can call in, but we can't hear you. We can't hear you at all, and you're unmuted. Okay, I'm going to put you back on mute, and maybe you can call in and we can talk to you in a bit. Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, so next we're going to talk about this is in Commissioner Blackson's area, the Sursum Corda Turnkey and Sibley Townhouse RFP. I'm looking for is Director Garrett available. If you want to press *9 and or raise your hand on anyone from the Housing Authority, press *9. Oh, there's Director Garrett. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Hi, Director.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. Who else do we need to unmute? Is Tony Robinson with you?
Tony's with me. We also have Andre Gould, Katrina Jenkins, Jeter, and also Deborah Jackson.
I see Andre Gould. Okay, Deborah Jackson.
Katrina Jeter.
And Katrina, do you want to? Can you? Let's see. We've got Andre. We've got Mr. Robinson. Katrina, or can you press *9? or use the raise your hand feature so we can unmute you. Okay. Ed and Marcus, why don't you look for Katrina and what was the other name, Director?
It was, I think you have everyone. That's it.
Okay.
Andre, Tony, Katrina, and Deborah Jackson.
Okay. So Denise, why don't you begin the conversation if you would? And I'll bring up that one little PowerPoint, okay?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, Director Garrett. I wanted to know, where are you with the process of the developers for Sibley Plaza Townhomes?
Okay, so first of all, I would like to say, Happy New Year to everyone, and I'm glad you had the opportunity, gave me the opportunity to come on board with my team. The one thing I did want to point out to everyone was that because this is an open procurement, the one thing that we have to be careful and mindful of is the legal ramifications of getting out in front of ourselves. So I did not want to just send a representative to tell you that. I wanted to be able to come on board and let you come on and explain to you exactly where we are in terms of trying to go through our procurement process of identifying developers. So we have put out the RFP. There have been submissions, and the panel in our OCP department are actually evaluating those now. From that, we would go to the next step, which is, making a determination whether or not those are valid proposals that we should bring forth to the residents and move forward, or is it something that we should revamp, look at, and start over again? So that's really where we are on the procurement process. We did put out the RFP, as I said, and we did receive some submissions. So we're evaluating those at this point in time. We haven't put a clear time frame on it because we need to make some decisions and determinations exactly if we need to add an additional step. But the one thing that I do want to guarantee, not only to you as a leadership at the within the housing authority for the residents, and also to the ANC itself, is that my administration is making a strong attempt to be very transparent in our approach to redevelopment. Unfortunately for me, I've inherited a couple legacy deals that didn't necessarily afford all the opportunities that I would have liked to present. But I think this particular project allows us the opportunity from beginning to end to move through the entire process with a lot of resident input. I think many of you have heard about our transformation plan. And our transformation plan includes, projects, redevelopment projects and rehabilitation projects throughout our entire portfolio. And this is going to be an example of how we're going to be handling those type of situations and those endeavors, because our transformation plan also includes a clear human capital component. And that human capital is really designed to have a lot of resident engagement and input once we get to that particular point. I know that we all wish that redevelopment in and of itself could be fast moving and at a rapid pace. I know I do, because the quality of life for the residents that we serve is so most important. But at times it does not move at that type of speed. And unfortunately, this is one of those situations where we have to go through a procurement process. But once we get going, we're going to include the ANC. We're going to include especially the residents themselves, because that's who is most important, as I stated, within this process. And then we'll go through the next steps. One piece of the puzzle is, an example would be Greenleaf for us. Right now, we're holding resident engagement meetings every single month with the residents of the Greenleaf properties, in addition to the advisory board that is in that particular community. So that's an example of an RFP that has gone out, where a development team has been selected, and now we're at the point where we're doing massive resident and stakeholder engagement on a monthly basis to keep them updated with everything that's going on, and any steps and new occurrences that may happen. So that's something that we're committed to. I'm an open book, full candor about what's going on. If something's not working or something didn't happen that was supposed to take place, I'm going to let the public and the residents know where we stand. That's just going to be the process that we're going to actually follow moving forward with not only this redevelopment project, but all of our redevelopment projects in the future.
So Denise, I do have this up on, I don't know if this is useful at all, or what you sent me last night. If you need to
Yes, can
speak
you
to this at all.
Yes, can you go to the plan, the actual plan?
Is that in here?
That's the second page. It should be the second page. Go to the next page right there.
Oh, here, okay.
You can move it up a little bit.
Yep,
Okay,
there we go.
there it is. Okay, Director Garrett. I see that some of the residents at the Sursum Quarter Turnkey area have started to move. Is this part of the demo dispo process? Has residents received their vouchers down there?
Yes, ma'am. That's part of the demo dispo process. Yes.
Okay,
And that's why I have both Deborah and also Katrina on the line if they have any questions in reference to relocation.
in the past, have the residents at Sibley Plaza Townhouse started the process? Because me as the community leader, I am not aware of that process starting at all. So I wanted to ask, have that process started for Sibley Plaza Townhouse? Where do we fit in if this is a joint effort? How soon will that happen for the residents here?
So Deborah or Katrina or even Andre can talk about the timeline.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Hi. So this is Katrina Jeter. I'm the relocation coordinator for Sibley Sursum and Sibley Townhomes and Sursum Turnkey. We've had one resident relocate successfully from Sibley Townhomes, and we have the Sibley Townhomes residents are moving a little slower than the Sursum Quarter, but we're working with both of the communities simultaneously.
Okay, as a community leader, I was not aware that that process has even taken place for residents to move. I just wanted to know, because I wasn't aware of that, and I was aware that the residents down at Sursum were moving. I did not know it was taking place for us. So I was thinking, like, was it money in the budget for us to move? Do you have money in the budget included to release residents to move up at Sibley Plaza Townhomes?
We're working with all residents at Sibley Townhomes and Sursum Turnkey, and the budget is in place or getting worked out. So we have reparations and plans to work with everybody. So whomever is ready, when they're ready, as I can work with the residents to get their documents in to get approved, I'm working with them at their own pace.
Okay, I guess I'll speak with you offline since I'm not aware of it and I am a resident and also a resident leader. I'll
Yes,
speak with you offline about that. But
ma'am.
could you, I was told, you know, even in the moving to work plan, I can see that Sibley Plaza Townhouses is part of DC New Communities. Then, you know, I was told by DCHA staff that we were not part of New Communities. Could someone elaborate on that a little for me?
I could speak to that.
Okay.
Well, Sibley Townhomes and Sursum Quarter Town Turnkey are within the New Communities footprint that was set back in 2005. They're not part of the New Communities plan, but both of the properties sit within that footprint of the Northwest One redevelopment area.
Okay. And I have another question that is, with the right to return and the 1-for-1 for all residents. I wanted to know, how does it work? Well, residents want to know, how does it work when you have a household that may have 5 or 6 people inside their household, and the right to return, the units are not big enough to accommodate a household of that size? How does that work?
Well, where we,
For Andre, I have it. The one thing that we are committed to is a return for everyone. And one way that I've handled it in the past is that if there are adult individuals within the family, we'll give them the opportunity to have their own unit. So
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
That answers their question. Yes, it does.
Okay.
I can take that information back to them. You know, my voice speaks for the residents, and we are all here to work with DCHA, not to work against you. I just want everyone to be transparent. A lot of times when you ask these questions, they don't get answered. And I thank you all for addressing my concerns, me and the residents here at Sibley Plaza Townhouses.
Commissioner
Not a
Blackson,
problem.
are we done with the presentation? Do we need to
Done
see?
with the presentation, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Director. Any other questions from the commissioners? You know, I have a question. So where's the director? Where'd he go? There he is.
I'm here. I just have to come off video. I'm sorry.
Good to see everyone. So I mean, when Commissioner Blackson mentions it was really all about the communication, and you know, I'm not there, so I don't know all the interaction, but you know, I just hope, and Commissioner Blackson and I were talking about that. This is not going to be what's it in the, I'm forgetting the last word, Temple. What's the last?
Turnkey, Sursum Turnkey.
No, what's the place that we're talking about last night?
Talking about Temple Courts.
Yes.
Oh, Temple Courts.
No, ma'am. I'm sorry. I wasn't here for Temple Courts, and that's not something I'm planning on reenacting.
So let's not reenact that, because literally from the time I moved to this area until now, I've heard about Temple Court, and my gosh, and it was just.
And I still hear, and I personally still hear about it. So I'm definitely trying to, you know, rid the stigma of what happened in the past with a few redevelopment projects that the DCHA had control of. I think that we're in a better place right now with my administration, and also in working with the district partners, the other agencies within the city, getting a lot of these things done and completed, so that residents have the opportunity to return as quickly as possible.
And as long as the communication, because I just remember going to many a community meeting over the past decade, and frankly, no one knew what was going on. And so let's just not repeat that.
Yes,
Any other commissioners with concerns, questions for the director? Anyone?
Yes, this is Commissioner Alex Lopez, 6002. I have a question, maybe two questions about the RFP. I see in the RFP there is a requirement that there be 50 units for returning residents, and there are 50. I think that there are 50 units total currently. If for example the townhomes that have 5 bedrooms, if those families would be offered multiple units returning, how would that work within the RFP framework? I guess that's my first question. Is 50 units for returning residents sufficient? And then the second question is, are there any other requirements to build additional affordable housing as part of this RFP?
I think your second question answered your first, actually. And not trying to be, the idea is always to create more density. So our baseline is 50 units, but we're always looking for proposals that are going to actually give us the opportunity to increase density for affordable units. So that's what we're striving for. So if we get a proposal that doesn't look from a development team that doesn't, you know, really address our needs with the concept of additional density, then that's going to be something that we probably would not, that's a development team that we probably would not use. Did that answer? Was I able to answer your question? I mean, 50 is the baseline because we know we need to build at minimum 50 units, but we're always looking for additional density.
So is that additional density, is that being considered as part of, as a qualitative metric as part of the evaluation, or is that part of the quantitative evaluation matrix?
I consider them to be both the same, actually, at the end of the day, because they're going to produce the same result.
No. In the evaluation matrix for the RFP, how is affordability treated?
Oh, affordability is always going to be 30% or below, and then we'll tier it up 60 to 60 and below, and then 80 and below.
That's the kind of the prioritization.
Yeah, and it's always, remember, it's always going to be at least 30. It's always the top prioritization is always going to be 30% or below. But the one thing we also have to keep in mind that not all of our residents are in that AMI, right? We do have some residents that are above, and we need to make sure that we can accommodate them at the same time.
Okay, thank you. And then one final question. You mentioned that residents would be part of the would have a role in the selection process. Can you talk and the broader community? Can you talk about that? How that would
I
work?
don't think I necessarily said the selection process, but I know that they're going to be involved in the process. At the end of the day, we're using a panel of professionals and experts that have done this before to evaluate the best teams. And at some point in time, we're going to be able to bring those individuals And I can't say when, and I can't say exactly how it's going to be done. But we'll be able to showcase or bring, project teams to the residents for at least, at minimum, an introduction of some sort. But also, let's keep in mind that the way the RFP is written and the purpose of the RFP is based on the needs and concerns that the residents have voiced to us. So we've already laid down those as the guiding principles to the project itself.
So, will the presentations to residents be conducted prior to or after selection?
We haven't made that determination yet.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. But there's definitely going to be at least at minimum an introduction of the teams.
Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners before I open up to the community? No. Okay. Okay, this is concerning for community members that have a question for Director Garrett from the Housing Authority about the Sursum Corner Turnkey and the Sibley Townhomes. Press *9 if you're on the phone, or use the raise the hand feature if you're on video. Any questions for the Housing Authority about this process, the communication of what's going to happen? No. Oh, I see someone. Okay. Go ahead. There you go.
Hi, my name is Shadia. I actually reside in Savannah on K, and I'm just curious in regards to the new development for what used to be Sursum Quarters. Is it all going to be apartments, affordable housing, or is it going to be any type of first-time home buyers programs as well?
I'm sorry, are you talking about the project that's going in the ground now? That's
Either or.
Either or. We haven't made a determination on the DCHA project of how it's going to pan out. So that's the whole idea of evaluating what the developers bring back to us. I can't speak for what's going on the other property with Toll Brothers and L&M and the other development teams.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Any other questions for the Housing Authority or for Director Garrett concerning this? Press *9 or use the raise your hand feature. No.
I just have one more thing I wanted to say. I know some of the information we offered this evening was somewhat limited, but we're definitely going to be coming back to the ANC and also to the residents directly to have more conversations as things progress. So I don't want anyone to think this is the last time you're going to hear from myself or my team in reference to this particular project.
All right, sounds good. You're always welcome to come back, and we welcome, any emails or communication between the commissioners and the Housing Authority.
Sounds great. I really appreciate you having us.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. All right, next we have a little bit of a repeat. We have the Shiloh Baptist Church. We are redoing the motion. Last meeting, and I'm looking for Simone, or in the December meeting, there was a great presentation, but the wrong motion. So there is Simone. Hello, Simone.
Hello.
Can we hear you now?
Can you hear me this time?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, good evening. Thank you, Commissioner Nigro. It's great to be back here again this month. As the Commissioner said, myself and Steve Castle, who represents 4 Points, were at the meeting last week, and there was just a little bit of a mix-up in the resolution. So we're here to give a very quick overview of what we're seeking in terms of support. My name is Simone Goring-Devaney. I'm with CSG Urban Partners, and I am the real estate consultant for Shiloh Baptist Church. Shiloh has been working for a very long time to look at the redevelopment of the properties they own in the 1500 block of 9th Street. To that end, they've selected a potential joint venture partner, which would be 4 Points and Capstone. And so as we move forward with the development, as part of the comp plan amendment process, we are seeking support to change the existing future land use map designation. The current land use map is a mix of moderate density residential, mixed use, medium density commercial, medium density residential, and local public facility. What we are asking support for is to change the future land use map designation for the Shiloh property to all mixed use, medium density commercial and medium density residential. So we had a discussion about this at the last meeting, and I think there was support for it. I just want to make it clear that at this time, Shiloh has no definitive development plans. I mean, other than they're trying to redevelop those properties into a mixed use project that will have a new family life center for them and also residential units. We have no plans to share at this point, and we will be coming back to the ANC as we move through the zoning process. So with that, I would like to request the support for our changing the future land use map.
So let me ask Mr. Eichler, do you want to add any commentary?
I would just first like to bring back that I believe at the December meeting, there was a question about whether you were asking for changing of zoning of the parcel that the church itself is currently on. The maps that were presented showed indications that that parcel was also part of your request. And I just think, do you have any updated documentation maps showing specifically which parcels are part of the request that you could share with us at this point so we can make sure that everything's correct and ready to move forward?
Sure. I think the confusion at the last meeting was we did show a map that shows what we will ultimately be requesting with the Office of Planning, which is different than the future land use comp plan process. So I sent Rochelle a presentation. I don't know if she can get it up there.
When did you send that? So
I sent it like late last week.
oh gosh, hold on, wait a minute. Bear with me. Whoops.
Sure. So to answer your question, again, we don't have any plans or anything. We will have to work with the Office of Planning to change the zoning or, go through a PUD or map amendment for the site. Most likely it'll be a map amendment. So that's in the future, but right now we're just asking for the land use designation change, which would be all of the properties that Shiloh owns on the 1500 block of 9th Street.
Okay, so you are asking for the Shiloh Church parcel itself to be included in that change in what's on the future land use map.
Future land use map, yes.
Okay, and is there also any? It looks like there's at least one parcel 823, which is not currently indicated on the map as being one of the parcels as part of the project. Is that currently not owned by Shiloh, or can you just?
No. That property is not owned by Shiloh. Shiloh would like to potentially, get it under control, but at this point, they don't have that property under control.
And so a lot of the renderings that we've seen look to include almost the entire block, including the property that's currently denoted or not denoted on the map as being part of the ask. So are those renderings kind of presuming that you will eventually get that property under control and include that into your full package?
Yes.
There? Okay.
Yeah, that is.
Do you have any contingency plans for what you're going to do if it falls through?
We try not to think about that.
Sure. Well, there's some examples on Massachusetts Avenue that you could follow along, and one on New York if you really need to. Okay.
We're hoping that we're going to be able to fully assemble the site.
Yeah. So I currently have no additional comments or questions for you. Thank you for your update there.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions from the commissioners? No. Any questions from the community? Press *9 or raise your hand. Oh, someone's got their hand raised. Hi, Timothy. How are you? Timothy? Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I have a comment to the commission. And I just wrote it out so I don't miss anything. So I'll just read it. So my name is Tim. I'm a neighbor in 6001 at 8th and P. And since 2014, the Eastern Downtown Protected Bike Lane Project has identified 6th Street or 9th Street as corridors where protected bike lanes may be implemented to enhance street safety for all users. And DDOT has carefully designed the 9th Street lane to remove 0 parking spaces between N Street and R Street, including Sunday diagonal spaces. Despite this, there's some vocal opposition to the project, which hasn't moved forward, of which I'm sure you're all aware. And in March 2020, the Missionary Baptist Ministers Conference sent a letter to the council saying that the bike lane effort represents, quote, gentrification, which says that the establishment speaks on what's best for the masses, end quote. Now, gentrification is a poorly defined, often misused and complicated word. I think we need more market rate and affordable housing in 6E, all over Ward 6 and all over the city. And I would love to see Shiloh develop their property and provide housing supply to this constrained market. Neither Mayor Bowser nor former DDOT Director Jeff Marudian have explained why this bike lane project has been quietly stalled indefinitely while others have proceeded. But credible reporting indicates that congregants and leadership at Shiloh have been a major source of opposition to this project. As Shiloh is requesting an amendment to the comprehensive plan to allow development and what I would call densification of their property, they are at the same time directly responsible for the lack of safe cycling infrastructure on 9th Street Northwest. And some people, not me, but some people would look at this project and call it gentrification, exactly what the Shiloh community has purported to so vehemently oppose. What I would ask the commission is to consider the role of Shiloh Baptist Church in blocking the 9th Street bike lane as you consider your support for the amendment. Perhaps support of the amendment could be contingent on securing Shiloh's support for building the bike lane. We have some new commissioners in 2021, and we will soon have a new DDOT director. I would love to see the Shiloh project and the 9th Street bike lane project proceed concurrently to make our thriving neighborhood even better. And that is the end of my statement.
All right, thank you for that. We appreciate that. So wait, I did get it up some, I don't know if this is from the last one. I couldn't, is there anything in here that we can look at?
I think the last one was what caused a little bit of the confusion. So, and I don't know that it had the future land use map designation,
Okay.
which might be helpful, but I don't recall if I don't think it was in that presentation.
Okay. I'm sorry, I apologize. Okay.
That's okay.
No, I think it was dated 1/21 is when the email came through.
Okay, well, we can't go to the emails. Sometimes we're logistically challenged here. All right, so any other questions from the community? No? Okay. Why don't you go ahead, Michael, and go ahead and, oh, I see one more, Steve. Oh, Steve, did you want to say something?
Yes, I would just reiterate the key point, which is that we have to bring this project through the design committee, and there will be a future zoning process, which will involve a map amendment or a PUD process in which the ANC will have a definitive opportunity to opine on what we're trying to accomplish. Zoning's super complicated, and Simone and I do it all day as a profession, and it's still confusing to us. So I don't expect a majority of the members of the ANC or participants to understand the minutia of zoning. So to make a long story short, by changing the designation for the future land use map, that will give us the ability, when it's time to do either a PUD or map amendment, with plans to support it, to come back and actually potentially get those approved if they meet the standards of the ANC under the Office of Planning and the Historic Preservation Office. So we have significant hurdles that we'll have to meet and exceed in the future as it relates to any plan for this project. And I also reiterate what Simone said about the assemblage of the properties. Getting the one property that's not part of the Shiloh Baptist Holdings right now under control along 9th Street is really an enabling requirement to have a meaningful project on 9th Street. And both Shiloh and Victory Village Development Corp CSG and 4 Points and Capstone are all very aware of that. And, it'll be important to being able to make the project successful. So anyway, we'd very much appreciate your support. We would anticipate that we'd be coming back to you in a few months with some actual plans. And, by that point, we'll know the zoning strategy that we would pursue for the project that's most appropriate and has the support of the Office of Planning, so that everything is very, straightforward and understandable at that juncture. Anyway, thank you so much. We very much appreciate your support and appreciate your time.
All right, Steve, thanks. All right, Michael.
Okay, so I hereby move that ANC 60 support the amendment of the comprehensive plan future land use map designation for the Shiloh property from a mix of moderate density residential, mixed use, medium density commercial / medium density residential, and local public facility to all mixed use, medium density commercial, and medium density residential.
Okay, any questions about the motion from the commissioners?
Do we have a second?
Or do we have a second?
Second.
Frank seconds. Any questions? No. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Aye, okay, great. All right, motion passed. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Oh, thank you for coming back.
Oh, you're welcome. Take care.
Take care, bye. Okay, next we have, and this one should go quickly, 441 M Street. This is in my area. This is where things have been taken away. This is Tony Brown on the call? There you are. Where'd you go, Tony? Okay, let me unmute Tony. Jessica. Where did Jessica go? There you are, Jessica. Okay, so this is in my area, and these are just some small, not small, but some revisions for HPRB, and we have been asked for to give support again. So Tony, why don't you go ahead and start?
Good evening. This is a project, like Rochelle said, that has come before us before. We had a lot of debate about it, and we had a lot of input from the neighbors, and we sort of didn't come to a happy medium. Giving Jessica and her team props, they've gone back and they've redone and addressed all of the concerns that we had from the previous effort. And I believe that they've done an outstanding job at conforming to what the HPRB is looking for and keeping it within the character of the historic neighborhood that they're living in. So we have basically determined that we feel that the ANC 6E should support this project of the historic preservation of this property at 441 M Street.
And so I just wanted to review Tony and Jessica. So the stairs, there's no more stairs in the back, and there's a smaller footprint.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And about the addition?
The only addition is going to be the addition
floor.
on the rear wing on the third floor.
Okay, so let me just review again. The three things: there are no more stairs in the back. There's going to be a smaller footprint.
Yes.
And
You want me to say it?
yes, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I interrupted you before, Tony. It's a smaller addition on the third floor on the rear wing.
Okay, so it's just those three things, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, and I don't know if this applies, no underpinning.
Correct.
And no underpinning, which is important to the neighbors. So as I know that the neighbors do have additional concerns with that, and that it is still being worked out about the front of the, right? Jessica?
Front of the facade, yes. And we're going to be working with Mr. Brendan Meyer of the Historic Preservation Office and coordinating all the improvements with him, and everything's going to comply with historic preservation guidelines.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners? No? Any questions from the community? Press *9 or raise your hand if you're on video. Which is going to be less is more. This is less for this project, so but it's much appreciated. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you very much.
Any other community questions?
Thank Tony and everybody. I really appreciate it.
Okay. All right, no questions from the community. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion. I move that ANC 6E support the revision for the plan for 441 M Street Northwest, and that we give this support to the Historic Preservation Review Board. And the support would be for no stairs in the back, a smaller footprint, and the addition is smaller. No addition.
On the third floor.
No addition on the third floor.
No, there is an addition on the third floor.
So it's a smaller part to the addition.
It was the existing building, and they're just building it out completely on the third floor. No, nothing added to the footprint.
Okay, but I don't get the third part.
And no underpinning.
Well, that's not putting that. So there's no stairs in the back. There is less of a footprint.
Yes.
And
actually, the addition on the third floor is smaller than it was originally.
Okay, so the third floor is smaller for the addition. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So motion on the table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any questions about the motion? Okay, Frank seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Kevin, yay. Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, and Happy New Year.
Great, thanks, Jessica. That was short.
Thank you, Jessica.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
Next, we have 1527 8th Street. I think, is it Daville? I see you. Wait, where'd he go?
Yeah, he's there.
Wait a minute. Hold on, where did he go?
Davell.
Oh, there he is. People move around on my screen. It's horrible.
There he
Okay.
is. Okay.
So go ahead, Tony, and this is in Commissioner Eichler's area.
Yes, Mike and I, we've talked about this project. It's a situation where we have a non-conforming lot, which basically anything that you do to it, if you increase it or decrease it, you're going to have special exceptions and variances. They're basically using the footprint of a current porch, and they're going to make it an enclosed sunroom. It's going to change the, let me get this out so I'll quote it right. They're going to be asking for an exception for I don't have my list with me, but it's outlined. Oh, here it is. They're going to have a variance for the square footage of the building. They're going to also ask for a lot occupancy variance and a special exception for the rear yard. So they basically have outlined for us a project that fits within the parameters, and with the changing of the non-conforming lot, it's going to be actually smaller footprint than it was previously, and it still requires those actions to make this project come true. So there you go, Mr. Deville.
Thank you. That was very accurate and to the T. Again, hi, I'm DeVell with Remodel USA, speaking on behalf of our customer, Mr. and Mrs. Woodrow, who live at the property. And as Mr. Brown said, we are just trying to convert their existing deck into a sunroom so that they can use it a little bit more throughout the year. And their deck is literally right off of their kitchen. So it'll be almost like a 3-season room, if you will. And also along with that, they want to add a little bit more privacy since they did build that apartment building that is behind their unit.
And I'd also like to add on that block there, a variation of different types of things that are on the back of the homes there. What he's requesting is not out of the norm, and it basically will fit within the character of that neighborhood.
Okay, Commissioner Eichler?
Sure. Well, thank you for the presentation and the good level of information. With that, I feel comfortable in making a motion to support the zoning relief for 1527 8th Street Northwest for a non-conforming lot to build or to convert the existing deck into a sunroom.
So Commissioner Eichler, we're gonna ask you if any of the commissioners have any questions first in the community.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thank you though. I
Jumping
appreciate
the gun.
it.
Great motion.
So any of the commissioners have any questions about this project?
No questions.
Okay, anyone from the community? This is located at 1527 8th Street Northwest. It's about a deck. So press *9 or use the raise your hand function. No questions. Okay, Michael, you want to go ahead?
All right, I'll do it again. So I hereby make a motion to support zoning relief for 1527 8th Street Northwest for the non-conforming lot to bring it into conformity and conversion of a deck to a sunroom.
Yay.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, Denise, the second. Any questions about the motion? No. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Kevin, where are you?
Aye.
Kevin, okay, great. Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Everybody have a good evening.
Bye.
Take
Thanks for
care.
coming in.
Bye. Thanks you as well.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Okay, next we have a resolution up. This is what we talked about last month, the potential, well, it's closed now, but the permanent closure of the Northwest 1 library. And it's in Commissioner Rogers' area, but I don't know if you guys, who wants to begin with discussion, Alex or Kevin?
Okay, I'm unmuted.
Where's Alex? Okay, there's Alex here. Yep.
Kevin? I'm
Yep.
on.
So
We
we're
can hear you, Kevin.
So
This is,
let me just tee this up a little bit. So Alex sent everyone a resolution. It was a bit long, so we're going to rework it due to the length, which is great. So thank you for that, Alex. But we did have a little email exchange about the last part of it.
Yeah, I wanted to give Commissioner Rogers if he wanted to introduce this before I tackle with the letter.
okay.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, Kevin Rogers, Commissioner for 6007. Yeah, I did have some issues with the redevelopment of the library because of its entirety, right? And the way the community is coming up right now, we need it, but I don't want to support it right now because I feel that it ain't enough study in this. You know, it just happened to pop up and somebody try to put something together and to expand the library without further notice. We the last ones to get something. So I don't really support it, but I'll communicate that report up to our ANC, right, for approval. Also, would look like an impact study, the ANC to give an impact study on this right here of our own. I'm pretty sure they did one, but they didn't do a conclusive one for us to understand. So what you think, Alex?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. I agree with you. So the impetus for this resolution was a presentation we heard from the executive director of DCPL at our January meeting about their facilities master plan for 2021 through 2030. This master plan was developed with extremely limited public engagement. There was no public engagement activities held for the Northwest 1 community or for the ANC 6E community more broadly. And one of the recommendations of this plan is that the Northwest One Library at 155 L Street Northwest should be closed in order to move the library to a different location serving a different community, the communities of Eckington and Edgewood. Now, the communities of Eckington and Edgewood obviously deserve a library, but it's a false choice to have to close a library that is serving the Northwest One community, a library where the ANC meets in alternating years when it's not a public health emergency. So the resolution, the letter and accompanying resolution that I'm introducing tonight strongly opposes the closure of Northwest One Library. Northwest One neighborhood, this library was an integral part of the Northwest One redevelopment plan. The library is specified in the comprehensive plan as well as the mayor's amendments to the comprehensive plan. It is it is one of the smaller libraries in the DCPL neighborhood library system, but it hits far above its weight. I think for its size, it is the 10th largest. It has the 10th. Of the 28 neighborhood libraries, it ranks number 10 in gate count per capita, number 16 in Wi-Fi usage per capita, number 16 in checkouts per capita, all for a library that's number 19 in square footage per capita. So this is a library that the statistics demonstrate that is clearly well used and well loved by the community. As Commissioner Rogers said, this is a community in transition. We have a number of large-scale redevelopment projects that will transform the Northwest One community into a community that is denser, that has more mixed income development, although still retaining a lot of lower income residents, and that will have mixed residential and commercial development. Northwest One Library has been and continues to be a cultural anchor for the community, and the facilities master plan that was published with limited community engagement fails to recognize that this is a community in transition, that this is, according to the study assumptions, that between the year 2018 and 2023, there would only be 726 additional residents moving into the neighborhood. This is clearly false, given that we understand that between the Sursum Corda Cooperative Redevelopment, Northwest One redevelopment, and the DCHA headquarters redevelopment, we are expecting over 3,000 new units planned for Northwest One. In addition to neighboring neighborhoods in Noma, as well as Mount Vernon Triangle, that benefit from having this library. The Northwest One Library, this is the last thing I'll say before I move to the resolution portion. The Northwest One Library is, despite being well used, it is insufficient in its current state. It lacks the number of computers that other libraries have. It has limited circulation. It does not have meeting rooms or programming rooms or study rooms. And so it's not, it's serving the community, but it's not fully realizing serving the needs of the community. And rather than closing a library as is proposed in the plan, which would not only create a larger service gap in the Northwest One community, it would just create a hole. I think it'd create a hole in the neighborhood. And so resolution I have, which I will summarize here once I could pull it up, is that ANC, so here's the resolution. Be it resolved that ANC 6E strongly opposes the closure of Northwest One Library as proposed in the DC Public Library Facilities Master Plan. Be it further resolved that ANC 6E believes that the current Northwest One Library is deficient in floor space, amenities, circulation, and programming required by the community it serves, and is therefore inadequate to meet current and future demands for library services. Be it further resolved that ANC 6E urges DC Public Library to conduct dedicated outreach to residents in the Northwest One neighborhood and the broader ANC 6E community to identify service needs and desired attributes and features of a new full-service library for Northwest 1. Be it further resolved that ANC 6E advocates for replacing the existing Northwest 1 library with a full-service library in the same Northwest 1 community with floor space of at least 1.25 square feet per capita based on updated projections for service area population in 2030. Finally, be it further resolved that ANC 6E also supports the creation of a new library serving the Eckington and Edgewood neighborhoods, but rejects the false premises that 1, Northwest 1 library must close in order to create a new library at Eckington Edgewood, and 2, that the Eckington Edgewood library is a viable substitute for the Northwest 1 library. And I recommend that this resolution be communicated to DC Public Library, Ward 6 Commissioner Allen, as well as the Committee on the DC Council Committee on Recreation, Libraries, and Youth Affairs.
Okay. And then we'll work together on the actual body of the letter. Any questions or concerns from the commissioners?
I just wanted to thank Alex and Kevin for their support of this resolution and this letter. It is an important thing that was sort of noticed and brought to the forefront by Alex, Commissioner Lopez, that may have slipped by us if we hadn't been diligent. So I really appreciate bringing that opportunity to us to react to. And I'm really excited that we can perhaps save this library without maybe having even I don't know. I just think it's really a really good job that you're doing it and bringing this forward tonight.
Great. All right. Any other commissioner comments? No. Okay. Any comments from the community? You're going to press *9 if you're on the phone, or use the raise your hand feature. Nope. Okay. Alex Lopez, why don't you go ahead and make a motion then?
All right, I move that the ANC 6E adopt the resolution language that I read in introducing this resolution. To summarize, that the ANC strongly opposes closing Northwest 1, that Northwest 1 is deficient to meet the needs of the community in its current state, that DC Public Library conduct dedicated outreach to the Northwest 1 neighborhood for a future library, and that ANC 6E advocates for replacing the existing Northwest 1 library with a full service library of adequate capacity, and that ANC 6E also supports a library in Eckington and Edgewood, but rejects the premise that necessitates the closure of Northwest 1 library, and that this resolution be communicated to DC Public Library, Ward 6 Commissioner Charles Allen, and the DC Council Committee on Recreation, Libraries, and Youth Affairs.
Okay, do I have a second?
A second.
Denise seconds. Any questions about the motion? Nope. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, Kevin. Okay, great. Karen, we're gonna send this to you. All right. Okay, great. Thank you, Alex. That was great. And now, last, but we've been waiting a long time, we're going to talk briefly about the McMillan project. John Shaw, one of our wonderful constituents, has asked us to discuss it. And then I've also invited members of the team that is for the development. John has some objections. And I also see Commissioner Barnes on the line. Hello, Commissioner Barnes. She is the commissioner that actually is for that area. So I'm gonna, let's see here. Where are you, John? There's John. And then we'll have John go first. And do I have Mr. Rip? I hope they're here. They should be here. Okay, John, why don't you go first, and I'm gonna tee up your presentation, okay?
Sure. Can you hear me, Rochelle?
Yes, I can, John.
Oh, good. I promised Rochelle tonight, and thank you to all the commissioners this evening for considering this and also for speaking with me in the past about McMillan. I promised Rochelle to be brief and to avoid acrimony and endless rebuttal, because this is an issue about which there is a lot of acrimony and there is endless rebuttal. We should look at the slides now, I think. I only have 4 slides and 4 points I want to make. The resolution is more complete. There are also many, many very local issues which the Planning and Zoning Committee did not put in the resolution, but there are many, many more issues that are associated with this plan. So I'm beginning with McMillan, a DC park for the future. As you all know, very few parks, if any, in the district of any size are district parks. There are federal parks. And we're proposing that McMillan, in its uniqueness, be set aside as a park for the city of DC. Next slide. Rochelle?
Yep, there you go.
I think the park suffers because it has not been accessible to the public for quite some time. Rochelle told me that she actually did go into the underground structures. I have never had an opportunity to do this, and most of DC really has not. The parcel of land is surrounded by fences and often shrouded by types of fabric and such, and it really isn't something that most of the city knows very much about. But it is a uniquely situated piece of property, and it is uniquely large in its size, and it is a city resource that the city of Washington purchased back in the 80s for its residents. Next slide, Rochelle.
Yep.
The next slide, Rochelle. Yes.
There's
This is the part that I think has to be destroyed for the development. And I think this is the part that almost no one in DC knows about. This was a mammoth undertaking in its day. It may be the last of its type of infrastructure that was built by the federal government around the turn of the century. It has the unfortunate situation of not being like the old pensioners building downtown or like the old patent office above ground. This structure is totally hidden from the public, and yet I think it merits a very close consideration of what should be done with it. The last slide. And then this is projections of what might be in the future. I think it is a large project. I think the green space is deceiving because the front part of what looks like a park is really very steeply inclined. People use the word burn, which I'm not aware of, but on 3 sides of the park, there are very steep inclines around the margin, which makes the top of this piece of property level. And because it's to obtain the levelness of the property, then you have to have these slopes that go up there. So what all looks as green, much of it is as inaccessible as the canyons of Rock Creek. So those were the slides I wanted to show. I would like to make 4 points. That McMillan is a city resource. It is not a neighborhood resource. It is not an ANC issue. It is not a ward issue. It is an issue really of the entire city of DC. It is a very unique parcel. It is 25 acres in the center of a modern city. Washington in the 80s was a very different place, and it was there were a lot of 25-acre parcels in DC in 1980. Now in 2020, there are not other 25-acre parcels that amenable to making a real accessible city park. The center of the city is starved for open space. I know this because many times this need for open space spills into Howard University, and it is co-opted as a park when Howard University is not a park. And yet people feel like they need open space and they have no other place to go. And this is not just, you know, a Ward 5 issue and a Ward 1 issue and a Ward 6 issue. It is also a piece of parcel of land that is in prominent access in line to the US Capitol, straight up North Capitol Street. So it is not obscure and hidden away in some corner of the district. My second point is that some pieces of the proposed development may have merits. I think some of the pieces definitely move a public good to a private good, and I don't think that should be the business of the city of Washington, of its city government. I have never seen a justification of why the different pieces of this development need to be co-located and why they need to be on this uniquely large parcel of land. I've never seen any reason why that has been the case. I think the council is unaware, and I think they're ill prepared to dispose of this property. I talked to many council members, and 3 have told me to my face, I don't know about the rest of them, but 3 have told me to my face that they have never been in the underground. And one of them promised, this was pre-COVID, that he would make a visit to the underground, which he has not been able to do. I think the city has also purposely kept the public ignorant of this property and kept this property hidden away. This is a very unique historic structure. And like I said, it's unfortunate that the structure is underground and not above ground, like the great buildings that we preserved in the center of the city. The fourth and last point I'll make is that I think DC residents deserve a futurist design on this piece of property and not a reproduction of a 1990s, 2000 style design. After COVID, we need a total reconsideration of all of our assumptions underlying this development proposal. The need for luxury apartments, the need for affordable housing and where, the need for supermarkets, and the need for hospital office space. And so with that, I will end my comments, and I appreciate the support of the Planning and Zoning Committee. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, John. And now I'm looking for Mr. Rapp, Mr. Kyle, is it Boki? If you could raise your hand, press *9 or raise your hand. You're the opposite's opinion. *9. Are they here? Ed or Marcus, could you check the list to see if they're here? I don't think so. They were sent the meeting information. Mr. Rapp. No. Okay. All right. Well, I will tell you that I don't know why they're not here. So that's unfortunate. So I will tell you that I reached out to Giles Stucker from DemPen with the mayor's office here, and that he did give me a kind of like just a very brief current update. He says that the litigation is in its final stage. The Office of Administrative Hearings issued a final order dismissing the appeal of their permit on 1/28/2021. This allows the DC Court of Appeals to consider lifting the administrative injunction it issued in February of 2020. Tony, do you have anything to say? Tony Brown, there you go, I'm sorry.
No, this has been a project that's been ongoing. We initially looked at this, I believe it was the end of 18, 19, somewhere around there. And we came up with the resolution based on John's input and our research. We feel that it's a valuable resource, and it's unique in its proximity and all the additional amenities that are around it. The reservoir, if that entire park was revitalized, we would have somewhere to go in the center of the city. Yes, we still do need housing. So this historic piece of property being what it is, I think it holds some value and should be considered for something that would basically be redeveloped, not necessarily to add buildings to, but more of a green space for the city. Alex Padro, he probably has a little bit more to say than I do. So if Alex is on the line, if you'd like to add a couple of questions, comments.
Go ahead, Alex. I'm unmuting you.
Thanks. And yes, I think that any of you that have not had the opportunity to actually visit the site and to go underground really don't have an appreciation of really the incredible resource that the former sand filtration beds represent. I liken it to a European cathedral. The light that filters down through the manhole covers that are on the surface is very reminiscent of Gothic cathedrals. It's an expansive space that could have a great variety of different recreational uses. It's a space that retains its historic integrity as a unique individual landmark on the DC Inventory of Historic Sites. And it is unfortunate that so many council members have been so willing to sign off on its destruction without ever having had the opportunity to actually see it. Last thing I'll mention is that when the Office of Planning was conducting the Convention Center Strategic Development Plan now it's almost 2 decades ago, they had determined that the neighborhood surrounding the convention center has one of the lowest percentages of green space and recreation space of any neighborhood in the entire city. So that's why you do see incidents like the use of the Howard Quad by dog walkers, because we just really don't have very many big parks. This would be the last opportunity that the city would have to establish a large urban park near the center of the city that would be a city park, not a federal park. And it would be a shame if the council did not take the opportunity to actually go down into the underground portion of the McMillan sand filtration site to see what we have there, which was paid for with all of our tax dollars, not Ward 5 tax dollars or any other limited funds. So I've been supporting the community that wants to maintain that historic treasure since the beginning of the last decade, well, 2 decades ago now. And I know there are a lot of people that have thrown their hands up and given up, but I think that it's still worth continuing to advocate on behalf of something so unique.
Okay, so let me call it again. I'm looking for Mr. Kyle, Mr. Rapp, or Mr. Thomas Bouquet. Are they here to comment? They're pro-development. This is unfortunate if they are not here. Press *9 or use the raise your hand feature. Okay. All right, so I see Commissioner Barnes. Commissioner Barnes, would you like to say something? Diane? Hi, Commissioner.
Hello.
Hi, do you want to give, this is your area.
Yes, it is. And the majority of the residents here really wants what they're going to put there. We're actually getting a recreation center with a pool. The park is going to be there. It may not be as large as you want that whole 25 acres to be, but it will be a park there. We're going to have a grocery store finally within our area where we don't have to jump in a car and go drive to a grocery store. a senior citizens building has been requested and they are honoring that. And of course, the medical buildings, due to what's going on now, they don't have enough space for medical issues. So majority, like I stated, the majority of the residents here within this single member district definitely wants it. There are some that oppose it, but it's more wanted than it don't. So we're pushing for it, and we're still pushing for it.
Well, it seems to be edging closer, Commissioner Barnes, well, at least as of last week, so.
As of last week, yes.
Yep. Okay.
Question.
Okay, yeah, any
Maybe
questions,
to-
commissioners? Go ahead, Frank.
What would it take for the city council to actually visit this site? Because I've always been curious about what that land was. So this has really been educational for me to read through the materials that John has put together. And I'm really surprised at what the pictures show. And I'm almost with Alex in that if you were in Paris, you wouldn't tear down something with so much architecture and history involved. So I'm really curious, what would it take for the city council to actually take a look at this land or what lies beneath the land before they sign off on destroying it?
Well, some of them have looked at it. And the main one, McDuffie has been there underground. So I don't know who you're referring to, but the main one to look at it is actually Ward 5 Councilman McDuffie. And I'm told that the developers stated that the grounds are not stable enough to hold whatever is going to go on top of it, and it would cost more money to them for them to repair it than to save it because of the deterioration of the cells.
So just so I understand, they're looking to destroy all of that underground architecture and then build these plans from a few decades ago, the grocery stores. So they're not looking to save that.
They're saving some of the cells as for a museum. A museum is going to be on the site too, and they're going to save a couple of the cells so that they can show how water was filtered on that site.
Okay.
Actually, going to be a museum on the site also.
So that underground, the picture showing all of the underground pillars and cathedral ceilings, they're not looking to destroy all of that. They're looking to preserve that portion.
Yeah, they're going to preserve some of the cells where they can preserve. Yes, for the museum.
Rochelle?
Yep. John?
I promise no rebuttals, but I think I need to add a few pieces of information.
Okay, go ahead, John.
No, the actual DC Water is going to preserve a few of the cells because they are still in that good of shape. So they are actually saving a couple of the cells for their use. And I don't understand exactly what this use is. Otherwise, the majority, Frank, of all of those structures that you see have to be destroyed and removed because they certainly could not support the buildings they're building above it. Another issue has emerged just in November of the probability that the cement has asbestos. Because when this was built, there was no structural steel used. And at the turn of the century, it was very common for the Army Corps of Engineers to strengthen cement using asbestos fiber. And this is a concern that is not a neighborhood or ANC or ward concern because the reservoir is abutting this area where you have to remove tons of cement that possibly has asbestos in it. There is also going to be future litigation that's lining up this week, so we're not through with the litigation either.
Okay.
Well, also DC Water is already using the cell that they're going to use. They're using it now. And the cell over there near the corner of Michigan Avenue and North Capitol is going to be the cell beside the medical building. That's where they're going to have the museum at to show what that site was actually used for.
What percentage of these cells are going to be preserved at this present time?
I don't know right offhand, but I think it was just 2.
Okay.
Because the rest of them are not savable.
Right, any other comments from the commissioners before I open up to the community?
Yeah, can I make a comment?
Yes, of course.
So I just want to start by making a clarification that the Zoning and Planning Committee met last week, but and there was some diversity of opinion on this project, and the Zoning and Planning Committee did not take any action with regard to the proposed resolution. That's the kind of one clarification I want to make. This McMillan site has been, you're right, it is a city resource, which is why when the DC Council voted unanimously in 2014 to divest from this property for the development to the benefit of the community and the benefit of the district. It had support, as I said, from every council member, including Ward 6 council member Tommy Wells. It also has had support from ANC 5E, and I appreciate Commissioner Barnes being here this evening. ANC 5E and the neighbors there have consistently supported the Vision McMillan development through the council's disposition of the property in 2014, through the Historic Preservation Review Board of this project. I know that historic preservation tends to be fairly subjective, but we do consider the Historic Preservation Office to have some, to have some credibility in their subjectivity. And when they actually praised this plan as being a concept, they said that the plan contains concept designs representing an architecturally coordinated and cohesive approach that specifically relates to the character of the McMillan site. So there's your historic preservation cohesion. ANC 5E was also in support of the PUD process. And not only ANC 5E, the ANC that actually encompasses this development has been supportive throughout this process. The development has also earned the support of ANC 1B and ANC 5A, which are the two ANCs that abut the project. As far as I'm aware, ANC 6E has never, we have never taken a position on this project. And coming into this discussion at this late stage of the game on a project that is neither within our jurisdictional boundaries nor do we abut, it's, I don't understand why, why we're even having this conversation at this meeting. We don't really have a lot of grounds to stand on to weigh in here. We haven't been part of this conversation to date, and the amenities that are being developed as part of this are being requested by current residents, and the future housing, both market rate and affordable, is necessary in order to meet the mayor's housing production goals. So there's a lot of reasons why I don't really understand why we're having this conversation, and I strongly oppose this resolution.
Okay, Alex, great. Okay, any comments from the community? Press *9 or use the raise your hand function.
Hey, Rochelle, can you hear me?
Oh, Patrick, I'm sorry, Patrick, hi.
Yeah, I'm having a weird mic thing, I think. I just wanted to state some thoughts as well, please.
Sure, of course, absolutely.
To put it succinctly, Mount Vernon Triangle is about 2 miles away from where McMillan is, so we're a little ways off. And I think this is a pretty tricky situation because you've got two really important competing goals at play here. One is the development of green space in the city, and the other is sort of more complex, but it includes things like affordable housing as well, and trying to maximize that where we can. Just to give some of my thinking on this resolution, I'm inclined to support the positions of the people who live there, and so in that way, I appreciate Commissioner Barnes, you coming, and Alex, you just providing some more context about the past action of ANCs as they pertain to the area. But I'm inclined to vote the way of the residents who live sort of closer nearby, because my neighborhood, which I represent, is a little bit further off.
Okay. All right. I see Tim. Go ahead, Tim.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, as a member of the community, I'd just say that, cities that don't build, like San Francisco is very bad at building housing. It doesn't go well, and they end up with just outrageous housing costs. And to prevent that fate here, we need to utilize sites like the Fannie Mae site, the Walter Reed site, the McMillan site, to achieve the mayor's goals. And a second point, I was at a meeting last year with Eleanor Holmes Norton, and she was actually celebrating our access to parks in this city. 98% of district residents live within a 10-minute walk of a park, and 21% of the city's area is dedicated to parks. So I don't think there's this, the desperate need that we heard described earlier. So I would urge opposition to this resolution.
Okay, Tim, thank you. All right, any other community comments?
Rochelle, Naomi has had her hand up for a bit.
No, I mean, that's from Charles Allen's office.
Yeah, but she may have some feedback on this, or is she?
She's for waiting, I think so.
For her
right?
other.
For her part.
Sure.
Naomi, are you this for your part? Okay. All right. Okay, go ahead, Mike. Do you have something to say, Michael?
I will. I've been torn on McMillan in general because I'm a huge fan of transit-oriented development, and there's like very little transit in this area, and I personally am imagining a lot of cars driving, parking, adding to the burden on North Capitol, adding to the crosstown corridors. I would love to think that this project could be combined with BRT on North Capitol that could provide traffic calming and recreate North Cap as a street where people can thrive and connect McMillan to the rest of the community. I don't see that as part of the project program. But also, if we don't build these homes here, they're going to be built somewhere else, and those people are going to be driving even further distances to get to their jobs downtown. And the project does involve amenities for the communities in support. I really don't see any reason why we should be derailing or adding to the existing derailing of a long-term project that has been in the works for the good of the community, and does likely have housing benefits, community benefits, environmental and climate change benefits. And yeah, I don't think it's appropriate for us to be relitigating this at this point in time.
Okay, Michael, thank you. And I personally, as I've addressed with John, when I adore you, John, and we have many conversations about this. But as I feel for my constituents, that it is further away from where we are. But I respect your opinion. I'm glad that you came. I am not too pleased with the other people that did not come after this discussion. That is very unfortunate. And that's I don't get after all this. So, okay, I'm gonna go ahead. And so what's on? I'm gonna unmute you, John. Did you want to say one more thing?
Yes,
Okay.
just one clarification.
Yep.
The Planning and Zoning Committee did approve this resolution last February before COVID broke, and it was going to be referred up to the full ANC March, April, something like that. But we kept delaying it because of COVID and thinking that I might be back in the city, and also that you wanted a pro side, and I don't associate too much with the pro side, and they didn't make it tonight. But this was a resolution. This was a resolution that did pass the Planning and Zoning Committee last February.
Okay. All right, so let me go ahead and commissioners, go ahead and read this to you. So the resolution is that ANC 6E resolves that any work at McMillan be ended until the full council can tour above and below ground. The public can honestly and fully be educated through thorough outreach and on-site visits, and be engaged on the nature of their resources above and below ground. A new process of open and transparent public hearings can be conducted, and an international competition for park designs above and below ground can be convened, and the plans judged on their merit to provide all Washington residents the best return on this last precious green space in their ever more crowded city. So if you support this motion, you're going to say yes. If you do not, you're going to say nay.
Point of order.
Oh, sure.
the motion has to be moved and seconded by a commissioner.
Well, there's no, we don't, I'm the.
If there's no commissioner moving and seconding the motion, then the motion is not on the
So
table.
I'm the commissioner. I'm a commissioner.
Okay, so you're making a motion. Okay, that wasn't clear.
Okay, sorry. So would you like me to recite it again?
That's fine. No.
Okay, all right. Okay, do I have a second?
Aye.
Okay,
I'll
Kevin seconds the motion. Do I have any questions about the motion? No? Okay. All in favor? I'm abstaining.
Aye.
Kevin says aye. Denise says aye.
I'm gonna abstain.
Frank's abstaining. Alex, Michael,
No.
Patrick? Michael, no.
Nay.
Nay. Alex? Alex, are you abstaining or what are you saying?
Nay. I said no.
Okay. All right, so we have 3 nays, 2 yays. Oh, wait, say this again. 3 nays. We have Alex, Michael, and Patrick are nay. Frank and I are abstaining. Denise and Kevin are yays. So the motion does not pass. No resolution.
Well, we'll go down there and give a party.
All right, John, I want to personally thank you for this, and I want to thank you for your time, for your diligence as being a wonderful constituent. We appreciate all that you do and your continued involvement in the community. Okay, where are we going? Okay, folks, here we go. Coming to the end here. Okay, Alex Lopez, Transportation Committee.
Yes, thank you, Chair Nigro. So the Transportation Committee met on Tuesday of last week to discuss one substantive matter, and that was a proposal that I put forth to support the addition of speed humps on 5th Street Northwest, on the 1600 and 1700 block of 5th Street Northwest, specifically between P Street and Rhode Island Avenue. Currently, there are, so 5th Street Northwest, for those who may not be as familiar, is a one-way street northbound with a bike lane, an unprotected bike lane, and parking on both sides of the street. There are speed humps on both the 1300 block and the 1500 block of 5th Street. Currently, 1300 being in front of the co-ops and 1500 being in front of KIP DC. This particular proposal was brought to me by, was actually mentioned by a number of residents living along 5th Street who are aware, as I am, that cars frequently speed through this corridor, don't stop at the posted stop signs, and that there are a significant number of small children living on these streets. And given that there is precedent for speed humps on this street, and as a personal matter, I've actually been hit by a car on the street, a car that did not stop at a stop sign. So the resolution that the Transportation Committee recommended is that the ANC support, or that the ANC request that DDOT install speed humps on 5th Street Northwest between P Street and Rhode Island Avenue.
I'm glad.
So I will, any discussion on that before I make the motion?
Any discussion from the commissioners about this? Oh, we like speed bumps. Nope.
I agree. I live on 5th Street, and the cars, even with the speed bumps, cars can still speed through the area. So I don't have a problem with speed bumps on 5th.
Okay. Any questions from the community? Press *9 or use the raise your hand for it feature. This is the speed bumps between Q Street and Rhode Island Avenue on 5th Street.
P Street and Rhode Island.
Oh, on P Street.
Or it's
On Fifth Street.
It's
on
Q.
Fifth.
It is, yeah, it is. I'm sorry.
Between P and Rhode Island? No.
1600 and 1700 blocks, correct?
1600 and 1700 blocks.
Okay.
So it's between Q and Rhode Island.
Q. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. Any community comments? No? Okay. Go ahead, Alex. Why don't you go ahead and make the motion?
Sure, I motion that ANC 6E request that TDOT install speed humps on the 1600 and 1700 block of 5th Street Northwest between Q Street and Rhode Island Avenue.
I'll second.
And Michael seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Kevin? Aye. Okay, great. Motion passed. Thank you very much, Alex, as usual. Good job. All right, so we have Naomi. So Naomi, I'm going to ask you to unmute. This is Naomi from Charles Allen's office. Naomi? Naomi? No. Yep, Naomi? We can't hear you still. Naomi? Nope. We can't hear you. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry, Naomi. We can't hear you at all. Okay, so approval of the minutes. These are for the minutes for January 5th. Commissioners, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I circulated a couple corrections for the minutes. Were those incorporated? I haven't seen any further copies of the draft minutes.
So Karen, you want to? Oop. Karen. Oop. Okay, Karen, there you go, Karen.
Yes, I thought I circulated the minutes with Alex's edits to everybody. So that was the version I was going to use if they were approved.
We can double back. Any other concerns, commissioners? Okay. Someone want to make them, well, with Alex's comments?
So move.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, Alex seconds. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, where did Kevin go? Kevin, where are you? Okay, well, I don't know where Kevin went, but the motion passes. All right, thank you. Where did Kevin go? All right, and next we just have quickly, so we have a new grant form that the commissioners were actually sent a while ago. I talked with Gottlieb Simon. It's still not a final version, but he said Alex talked with him too. We can go ahead and use this. I'm going to send it to you, Karen, so you can post it. It's very similar to what ours is. And then we can, once it's posted to the website, we can go ahead and send it out. We already have two organizations that are interested, and then we can talk next month. Did anyone have any commissioners have any questions about the grant application? Nope.
I just want to make a comment that during normal times, the ANC is limited in the types of organizations and projects that we could fund. The projects can't duplicate or do anything that the DC government is already doing. However, during the current public health emergency, the ANC is allowed to provide funds for organizations providing humanitarian work in the form of either materials or services for people for COVID recovery. And I know that a number of other ANCs have elected to use their grant-making authority to support humanitarian work in this and recovery work in this regard. And I would encourage this ANC to likewise pursue opportunities.
Agree. Okay, super. I will put that on the webpage. Thank you, Alex. All right, Frank, you're up.
All right, well, I circulated a January commercial bank statement. We have a book balance of $50,000 $570.69. Everybody has a copy of that in their email. I sent it out right before the meeting. But I do want to make a couple of motions for our expenses for this month. I move the ANC 6E support the refund of $17 to Alex Lopez for the payment of his business cards, provided I can get a second.
Second.
I move the ANC. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Second motion, I move the ANC 6E support the reimbursement of $68.89 to Rochelle Nigro, the chair, for the payment of our Zoom meetings for January, provided I can get a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Third expense, I move the ANC 6E support the payment of $250 to Karen Yaley for the recording of our minutes and updating of our website on a monthly basis, provided I can get a second.
Denise, is you seconding? Denise seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That concludes the expenses for the month. And you do have a copy of the bank statement. There's only 2 checks that have not cleared the bank. That would be the check to 80 Port. I mailed that off 3 weeks ago. Excuse me. But you know, U.S. mail is very slow these days. Very slow. But I did mail that check off after the last meeting to 80 Port. And maybe I'll check with Alex Marriott to make sure that they received it.
We
You
can
have a
ding
question?
him. We can ding him tomorrow, Frank.
Yeah.
And then what's the second check?
The second check is the ANC Security Fund. We got Michael's signature, so now I have the full package, and I can FedEx that information off to Kathleen.
Good.
With the Office of ANC, so we can get the security fund secured and have all that business taken care of.
And
So
we
that-
are going to follow up on that, Frank, right?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Most definitely.
Because I don't want to be talking about it 9 months from now.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
Over
So
$25.
exactly. Exactly.
Too much angst over $25.
So I'll FedEx that out tomorrow to Kathy Patterson.
And you're going to request a signature, Frank.
Yes.
Yipper.
Yes, I am. I'm going to copy the information as well before I send it out, so I got my own copy, so we can follow up with this matter.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Frank?
That's it. That's it for me.
So Karen, Kevin was not present for any of those votes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where Kevin went to.
For the expenses. Okay.
Correct. And for the minutes.
Okay.
Okay, any announcements from the commissioners? No? Any announcements from the community? Raise your hand. Oh my gosh. Teresa, of course, hooray. There you go. Teresa from the Convention Center.
Well, thank you so very much, Chairman Nigro. And hello to all the commissioners. I hope everyone's year is off to a great start. For those of you who don't know, I'm Teresa Dubois, the Acting Director of Community Engagement at Events DC. If you're not aware already, Events DC operates several venues across DC, including in this community, albeit outside the boundaries of ANC 6E. And that's the Walter E. Washington Convention Center, and across the street, the historic Carnegie Library at Mount Vernon Square, home to the flagship Apple store. This evening, I guess for what'll probably be the final time this season, I'd like to announce that the Events DC fiscal year 2021 cycle 2 of our community grant program is currently accepting applications, and the application deadline is March 1st, 2021. Some time ago, I mentioned to this commission that our grant program funding has been increased from $200,000 per year to $500,000 per year over the course of 2 cycles. And so that's $250,000 per cycle. And the individual grant awards may range from $2,500 up to $25,000. And this grant program provides financial support to qualified district-based nonprofit organizations dedicated to supporting DC youth through sports, performing arts, or cultural arts here in the district. We will review the application process during a weekly virtual information session, which began back in January, and now there are only 3 sessions left. They are scheduled for 1:00 p.m. and 6:00 p.m. There's one this week on Thursday, February 4th, next week on Wednesday, February 10th, and the final session is on Tuesday, February 16th. So you can visit our new website at eventsdc.com under the community tab to see information about the grant program, as well as the guidelines and the past awardees. You guys took the chat box away, so I can't drop our email or my email, but that's okay. Anyone can get in touch with me through Chair Nigro, and I'm easily found also on the Convention Center, the Events DC website. You may also sign up for the Events DC digital mailing list to get traffic alerts or things pertaining to activities at our building, particularly once we are able to hold activities in our building again. We're also on social media. You can connect with us on Twitter, The Events DC. On Instagram, we are Events DC. And on Facebook, we are Official Events DC. And that is it. I'm happy to take any questions.
And they love it when I tweet them, right?
What's that? Oh, yeah, of course we do. Of course we do.
For Teresa from the Convention Center, our wonderful neighbor. I feel like I should adopt them sometime.
Oh, you're already adopted. Wait until we have our next art tour. I just can't wait. I'm gonna have to make that be a big thing. We could have people.
Right. Any questions? Anyone from the community? Questions for Teresa Dubois from the Convention Center? *9, raise your hand. Nope. Okay, Teresa, thank you. It's always a pleasure. Any other announcements from the community? *9 or raise your hand. Nope. Okay. Our next meeting will be March 2nd. I apologize. This has been somewhat of a fail with the timing. We will keep trying. So try, but it wasn't too bad tonight, commissioners. So remember to zoom in on March 2nd. I move that we adjourn this meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Michael seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, everyone, thank you. Be safe. Happy Valentine's Day. Whatever else is going on. So, all right, take care, everyone. Have a nice night.
Thanks, Rochelle.
Bye.
Nice meeting.
Bye, everyone.